You know that sick feeling when your temperature gauge suddenly spikes at 28,000 miles? Your Honda has been perfect for 3 years. You pull over, pop the coolant cap, and there is nothing but brown sludge where clear fluid should be. That is not supposed to happen to a Japanese bike. These things are bulletproof, right? Japanese engines do not fail because they are poorly designed. They fail because riders misunderstand what reliable actually means. And that set it and forget it mentality just cost you a head gasket and probably warped your cylinder head. I am going to break down the 3 specific behaviors that are killing Japanese engines before they hit 50,000 miles. The problem with legendary reliability is that it encourages complacency. Complacency kills precision machines. You buy a Japanese bike because you heard they run forever, so you skip the pre-ride checks, you stretch the service intervals, you ignore the little warning signs because it is a Honda, it will be fine. Then one day, it is not fine. By the time you notice something is wrong, you are not looking at a simple fix. You are staring at a catastrophic failure that turns your $15,000 bike into a $3,000 parts donor. The math is brutal. That temperature spike I mentioned, if you had checked your coolant level once a month like the Shirobai do, you would have caught the slow leak before it became a crisis. Instead, you trusted the machine to tell you when something was wrong. Japanese engines will run until they physically cannot anymore. They do not give you warning lights and gentle hints. They give you 3 years of perfect performance followed by sudden, expensive death. Look at how Japanese police departments maintain their bikes. The Shirobai standard is not magic. It is obsessive discipline. Every shift starts the same way: oil level, coolant level, visual leak check before the bike even moves. Pre-ride thermal checks, valve clearance checks at half the recommended interval. These bikes hit 100,000 miles not because Japanese engineering is supernatural, but because someone actually does the work. Western riders treat these machines like appliances. You would not skip changing the filter in your HVAC system for 3 years, but you will run 15,000 miles on the same oil because the manual says you can. Service intervals are written for warranty coverage and competitive marketing, not maximum engine lifespan. Here is what that lazy thinking costs you. A valve adjustment at 16,000 miles costs about $400 at a dealer, maybe $150 if you do it yourself. Skipping that adjustment because the bike runs fine means your valves slowly go out of spec. Tight valves do not seal properly. Poor sealing means combustion pressure escapes past the valve face. That pressure heats your valve stems. Hot valves warp. Warped valves need replacement. Now you are looking at a $2,500 top-end rebuild because you saved $400 on a scheduled service. The financial ambush is not just the repair cost. It is that your bike is now worth half what you paid for it. Because the market knows a 30,000-mile engine with a fresh rebuild usually means someone neglected basic maintenance. You cannot sell that bike for full value. You just created a parts donor because you believe the bulletproof myth. The worst part is every single failure point I am about to show you is completely preventable. You do not need special tools. You do not need an engineering degree. You just need to stop treating a precision machine like it is maintenance-free. The first place your lazy thinking kills the engine is the most obvious, and somehow everyone still gets it wrong. Motorcycle engines are not cars. In your car, the transmission fluid lives in the transmission, and the engine oil lives in the engine. They are separate systems. Your motorcycle does not work that way. Your clutch is bathing in the same oil that is lubricating your crankshaft bearings. Imagine running sandpaper through your oil system every time you shift. That means every time your clutch engages, friction material is grinding off those plates and mixing into your engine oil. That is the shared sump reality. Your oil is not just lubricating metal-on-metal contact, it is also filtering out clutch debris, combustion byproducts, and microscopic metal shavings from normal wear. All of that garbage is floating around in your crankcase, and your oil filter is the only thing standing between that contamination and your cam lobes. Here is what happens when you trust the 10,000-mile oil change interval. Yes, modern synthetic oil can survive 10,000 miles. The chemistry is good enough, but your filter cannot, and the clutch friction material that has been grinding into abrasive sludge definitely cannot. By 8,000 miles, your oil filter is saturated. It is no longer filtering, it is bypassing. That means all the contamination that should be trapped in the filter media is now circulating through your engine. Those microscopic metal particles are grinding your cam lobes. That clutch debris is turning into an abrasive paste that is destroying your rod bearings. The filter failing means the oil is practically acting like sandpaper. The Shirobai protocol is simple. 3,000-mile oil changes, no exceptions. No saying the manual covers you, no saying you are using premium synthetic. 3,000 miles, drain it and replace the filter, start fresh. They understand that shared sump reality means your oil is doing 3 jobs at once, and you cannot expect it to do all 3 jobs for 10,000 miles. The math is stupid simple. Oil and filter cost about $60 if you do it yourself. A rod bearing failure costs a complete engine teardown and rebuild. $3,000 minimum at a shop, probably $1,500 in parts if you split the cases yourself. You are gambling $3,000 to save $120 over 6,000 miles. Here is the mistake that kills more Japanese engines than anything else. Riders see lifetime transmission fluid in the manual and think that applies to their bike. It does not. Your bike does not have separate transmission fluid. Your transmission is sharing that engine oil. There is no lifetime fluid in a shared sump system. Every gear change is adding metal particles to that oil. Every clutch engagement is adding friction material. The specific action you need to take right now is simple. Cut your recommended oil change interval in half. If the manual says 6,000 miles, change it at 3,000. If the manual says 8,000 miles, change it at 4,000. Use OEM filters, not the $8 garbage from the auto parts store, and check your oil level before every single ride, not once a week, every ride. That last part catches people. You are losing oil through normal consumption. Maybe it is a few ounces every 1,000 miles, but if you are not checking, you do not know when you have dropped from the full mark to the add mark. Running a quart low means your oil pump is cavitating. Cavitation means air bubbles in your oil. Air bubbles mean your bearings are not getting lubricated. No lubrication means metal-on-metal contact. Metal-on-metal contact means you just destroyed your engine. The second killer is something you do every single time you ride and you think you are being careful. You fire up your bike, you let it idle for maybe 30 seconds, then you twist the throttle and head out because you have places to be. You keep the revolutions low because you believe you are warming it up gently. You are lugging along at 3,000 revolutions per minute in top gear because that feels safe and responsible. You just crushed your bearings and you do not even know it yet. This is why thermal shock destroys Japanese engines. These motors are built to tight tolerances. That is what makes them efficient and powerful. But tight tolerances mean the parts expand at different rates during warm-up. Your aluminum pistons heat up fast. Your steel cylinder walls heat up slower. Your oil takes even longer to reach operating temperature. When you fire up a cold engine and immediately put it under load, you are creating metal-on-metal contact between the piston skirt and the cylinder wall. Every cold start where you ride off immediately is scoring microscopic grooves into your cylinder walls. By 30,000 miles, you have visible scoring. Your piston rings cannot seal properly anymore. Compression drops, oil consumption goes up. Congratulations, you need a rebore and new pistons because you were in a hurry 300 times. But the piston damage is just the obvious part. The real destruction is happening in your bearings. Cold oil is thick. It does not flow properly. When you put your engine under load with thick oil, your rod bearings are not getting the oil film they need. You are running metal-on-metal contact in your bottom end. Each cold start under load is removing material from your bearing surfaces. Eventually, you will spin a bearing. When that happens, your crankshaft is scrap. Your cases are probably damaged. You are looking at a complete engine replacement. The Shirobai warm-up discipline is specific and non-negotiable. 2 minutes of idle time minimum in summer, 5 minutes in winter. Avoid touching the throttle during warm-up unless required for safety or traffic. Let the engine find its own idle speed. Watch your temperature gauge. When it starts to climb off the bottom peg, you are getting close. When it hits the first mark on the gauge, you can ride, but you still do not pin it. You keep revolutions per minute moderate and loads light for the first 5 miles. That is the protocol that gets police bikes to 100,000 miles. It is not complicated, it is just discipline. This is the lugging trap that catches everyone. You think riding at low revolutions per minute during warm-up is being gentle with the engine. It is not. Lugging means high load at low revolutions per minute. Low revolutions per minute does not mean low stress, it often means maximum stress. High load means high cylinder pressure. High cylinder pressure means massive force on your rod bearings. When your oil is still cold and thick, those bearings cannot handle that force. You are doing more damage being gentle at 2,500 revolutions per minute in 6th gear than you would cruising at 5,000 revolutions per minute in 3rd gear. Set a timer, 2 minutes minimum before you move, 5 minutes in cold weather. No exceptions for thinking you are just going down the street. Every cold start counts. Every time you cheat the warm-up, you are buying a rebuild. The third failure point is invisible until it's too late, and it's happening right now while your bike sits in the garage. This one destroys engines while the bike is parked. Japanese fuel systems were designed for high-octane, ethanol-free fuel. That's what they run in Japan. Clean gasoline with actual gasoline in it. What you're pumping into your tank at every gas station in America is up to 10% ethanol. Some stations are pushing E15. That ethanol is a solvent, and it's eating your fuel system from the inside out. Ethanol attacks rubber. Your fuel lines are rubber. Every time ethanol flows through those lines, it's breaking down the material. After 3 years, those lines are soft and deteriorating. Small rubber particles are breaking off and flowing into your fuel system. Those particles clog your fuel filter. They jam your injectors. They stick your carburetor float needles open. That rubber damage is only the start. Ethanol also corrodes aluminum. Your carburetors are aluminum. Your fuel rails are aluminum. Ethanol slowly oxidizes those surfaces, creating a white powdery residue that turns into varnish when the fuel evaporates. That varnish clogs your jets, it sticks your slides, it makes your injectors spray in an irregular pattern instead of a clean cone. The resulting varnish and corrosion are silent, progressive killers. The real killer is what happens when your fuel system starts running lean because of all this contamination. Lean means not enough fuel for the amount of air. Lean running makes your engine run hot. Hot pistons expand more than they should. Overexpanded pistons lose ring tension. Lost ring tension means lost compression. Lost compression means rebuild time. It's a death spiral. The ethanol creates the fuel system problems. The fuel system problems create the lean condition. The lean condition destroys your top end. And you never see it coming because the bike runs fine right up until it does not. Here's how you protect your investment. Run ethanol-free fuel whenever possible. Yes, it costs more. It's worth it. If you can't find ethanol-free fuel, add stabilizer to every tank. Not just for storage, every single tank. The stabilizer helps prevent varnish deposits and slows down the rubber degradation. This isn't about panic, it's about slowing damage you can't see. Replace your fuel lines every 3 years. Not when they look bad. Every 3 years, period. By the time they look bad, they've already been shedding particles into your system for months. New lines cost maybe $50. Cleaning out a fuel system full of rubber debris costs 10 times that. The storage mistake kills more bikes than riding ever does. You park your bike in November with a tank of ethanol fuel. That ethanol sits there all winter, slowly evaporating and leaving behind concentrated varnish. By spring, your carburetors are gummed up or your injectors are clogged. You're looking at a complete fuel system cleaning before you can even start the bike. The specific action is simple. Drain your tank before storage or fill it completely with stabilized, ethanol-free fuel. Ethanol fuel has a 30-day clock. After that, damage begins. So that's the reality. Japanese engines are bulletproof only if you treat them with Shirobai level discipline. Without that discipline, they fail just like everything else. The 3 non-negotiables are simple. Cut your oil change intervals in half, because shared sump reality means your oil is doing 3 jobs at once. Respect thermal expansion during warm-up, because tight tolerances mean cold starts under load destroy bearings. Protect your fuel system from ethanol, because these engines were not designed for solvent-contaminated fuel. There are riders who own bikes and riders who maintain machines. One group replaces engines. The other hits 100,000 miles. Which one are you? Drop a comment with the highest mileage you have personally seen on a Japanese bike and what the owner actually did to get there. Subscribe so we can build a community of riders who make it to 100,000 miles instead of becoming parts donors at 30,000 miles.